Hi everyone, it's Felicity Baker. Welcome to my new podcast, Healing in Motion, where we explore films that mirror the feelings of our soul. The idea is to present films that are visual refractions of the difficult emotions we carry within and the complex, often painful journey of inner healing unfolding beneath the surface. Each episode will explore a film through 4 storytelling lenses: genesis, themes, character dynamic, and what the film offers us. By breaking down these elements, the podcast will uncover how movies makes the invisible visible and helps us better understand our own emotional landscapes. So if you ever wondered why some films resonate so profoundly with the quiet emotion of your soul, this is a podcast for you. For this first episode, I want to dive into Eleanor the Great, directed by Scarlett Johansson in her debut as a feature film director. The film stars June Squibb, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and Erin Kellyman in a moving portrait of grief, vulnerability, and the complexities of family ties. At its center is Eleanor Morgenstein, a 94-year-old woman who remains spirited and curious about life. After the death of her closest friend, she decided to relocate to New York to live with her daughter, a relationship marked by old tensions and unspoken disappointments. Once there, Eleanor quickly feels adrift and alone. In an attempt to forge connection, she begins to invent pieces of her past, drawing a young journalism student, herself grieving the recent loss of her mother, into an unspoken and emotionally charged friendship. To understand how such an unusual and emotionally layered story came to be, let's begin by looking at its origins. The film is based on a screenplay written by Tori Kamen, and although it is fictional, Kamen has explained that the story is partly inspired by her own grandmother, who, like the film's protagonist, moved from Florida to New York in her 90s. So the film uses that real-life situation as a starting point to explore the emotional disorientation, loneliness, and search for connection that can accompany late-life transitions. From that seed of truth, Kamen builds a narrative that becomes increasingly fictional. This blend of personal inspiration and dramatic invention gave Scarlett Johansson a framework that was both intimate and provocative. It allowed the film to examine themes of grief, emotional loneliness, and the universal longing to be seen, while still working within a clearly fictional dramatic arc. Now that we've explored where the story comes from, let's turn to what it invites us to feel and reflect upon. One of the most powerful aspects of Eleanor the Great is its delicate exploration of grief. At its core, this film is about what people do when grief becomes too heavy to carry alone. Eleanor's lies are not simply manipulations. They are attempts to create a bridge toward human contact. In the film, grief isn't loud. It isn't dramatic, it's quiet. It murmurs beneath the surface. It shows itself in small decisions or mistakes, in moments of hesitation, in instinct to reach out or withdraw. And this is where the film's second theme emerges: loneliness. Eleanor is not physically alone, yet she feels deeply lonely. Her daughter loves her, but doesn't quite know how to connect with her. But loneliness does something very human. It pushes us toward connection, even imperfectly. And this is where the film's third theme unfolds: the need for connection, the fundamental impulse to be seen, understood, and held by another. Eleanor's lies are born from that longing. They aren't malicious. They are an attempt to create a doorway into someone else's world. These thematic layers become even clearer when we examine how the characters interact and evolve throughout the story. In Eleanor the Great, emotional power emerges from the way the grief becomes a quiet force, shaping each of the characters' choices. For Eleanor, grief distorts her sense of identity. In losing her best friend, the person who held her stories, she loses her emotional witness. She becomes untethered and searches for connection in fragile and sometimes misguided ways. Her lies are not so much attempts to deceive as they are attempts to survive, to feel visible in a life that has suddenly lost its shape. The young journalism student, grieving her mother, finds in Eleanor not only a story, but a companion, someone who listens, someone who sees her pain. Their bond becomes a refuge, despite the unstable foundation beneath it. Every character reaches for comfort in flawed, deeply human ways. Their grief bends them, but it also opens them to compassion, forcing them to confront their own vulnerabilities. Through these interactions, the film shows that healing is rarely orderly. It is layered and intertwined with truth and compassion, which, when tested, can lead to deep healing. To close, let's reflect on what this story leaves us with. Stories like Eleanor the Great reflect not only the characters we meet on screen, but the quiet truths within ourselves. They remind us that grief is a universal language, spoken in sighs, in hesitations, in our own imperfect attempts to keep moving. The film invites us to witness each character's contradictions with compassion. And in doing so, it gently invites us to extend that compassion inward toward our own contradictions, our own attempts at belonging, our own fragile need to be held in understanding. Ultimately, Eleanor the Great reminds us that healing begins in presence, in being truly seen, in listening deeply, in letting our stories, even the painful and complicated ones, breathe in the company of others. Eleanor the Great invites us to see the tender chaos inside every human life, the sorrow, the longing, the messy attempts at connection. And in doing so, it reminds us that healing rarely comes in a straight line. Sometimes it arrives through vulnerability, through truth, and through the courage to finally be who we are.